Welcome back to Talking Shit, where we are talking all sorts of shit. Schitt's Creek, that is. Today, we are talking about season 4 in its entirety. We're wrapping things up. And of course, as always, I am not alone. I'm joined by someone who had the audacity to predict that Jocelyn would cheat on Roland this season. Stuart! Stuart, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad that didn't happen. I don't think I could deal
It's
with it if it
dark.
did. Like, it is dark,
Too
right?
dark for this show. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm so excited that we're wrapping this up, mostly because this brings a close to the worst period of this podcast for me, in that I have to wait 2 weeks to watch the next
Mm-hmm.
episode. I can
Yeah.
now finally watch the next episode as soon as we're done with this. So let's get this rolling. Like, let's get this
Yeah.
over with, Jess. Like,
Let's
we're
do
done,
it.
right? I can just
As
close it here.
usual, we're going to do some character breakdowns. We'll talk through each character, some character rankings. We'll reveal who is simply the best and who is the disgruntled pelican of the season. Get into some of the predictions Stuart had made. And then, of course, he's going to make some predictions for season 5, which we're going to get to start next week. So exciting. I can't wait. But of course, before we do that, let's talk about the characters here. Let's you know what? Before we even do that, Stuart, I want to get your thoughts on season 4 generally. How are you
Hate,
feeling about it?
hated it. Like, it was
Mhm.
just certainly not the best
Bleh.
season so far.
Mhm.
Certainly not living up to all of the hype that everyone has given to it. But of course,
Mhm.
it's fantastic. It was so good. Like, I I have been so worried about all of the hyping that people have been giving it and saying it gets better and better. And every time that I have had doubts about that, I've been proven wrong, and I should just believe people in that it is as
Mhm.
good as they say it is. Season 4 delivered so much in terms of like some of the funniest moments that have ever happened in the show thus far, alongside probably, I think this is the most heartwarming season, because we've had some like big heartwarming moments before, what with like the family dance at the end, like them going
Mhm.
after David, and David like being emotional and leaving, and like it being kind of really highly emotional. But this one was like, it had all of that throughout, and I love it so much. Which is why I
Yeah.
hate this podcast. I hate this podcast because it makes me wait week after week after week to watch it, and I just want to binge it like everyone else. And I feel like this is the worst prank you've ever pulled on me, Jess.
I do think it makes me happy every single time we get an email that's like, I just binged this show in a month, or I just binged
Yeah,
the show in like 2 weeks. Like
I feel like
it's
everyone
very
writing in
fun.
just taunts me.
Mhm. But you know what? On the bright side, once the podcast is over, once we were done with all of the episodes, then you can go back and rewatch all of the episodes again in binge format. It'll still be
You know
there.
I will do. You know
Well,
I
yeah.
absolutely will
It's a
do
perfect
that.
bedtime show. I call it a perfect bedtime show because it is like exactly what you want to be watching as you're falling asleep, because you're not going to get nightmares. You're just going to have lovely little sleepy dreams about the characters in Schitt's Creek. Um so with that, let's talk about the patriarch of the family, your friend and mine, Johnny Rose. Um, he has an interesting season, most of which is spent figuring out how to make the motel as successful as it can be with Stevie. They hire Roland. I think some of like the issues he goes through is mostly surrounding like, okay, now that he has a job again, how does he
Mhm.
balance the work and home life balance, and how does he make the motel successful? I'd say in some ways, Stuart, he does an excellent job in terms of, okay, the motel is fully booked. We're now offering, breakfasty things. We're putting flowers in every room, hopefully not poison ivy anymore. We're
Yeah, that's
putting
why I pull a face when you say that, because he takes initiative with a lot of stuff. Does
Mhm.
he execute it well? No.
Not always.
He's
Not
useless at
always.
that stuff. I love him to pieces, but he's absolutely useless at things.
Yeah.
How did this man run a company? I never know. I never
Well,
understand it.
because he was so high up that I think because he's making the high level decisions, the nitty gritty of like literally he's the one who picks the poison oak, right? Like he's not the one doing that. That is handed off to someone else lower on the food chain.
Yeah, but surely, even as someone that's high up, you know not to imprison people in a happy hour, feed them pastries and vodka to try and not
You
get
know
them
what
to
it
see a
is?
dead guy.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You know what it is? It's it's that he had a whole team behind him previously, so he had people who were like, is this the best idea? I feel like Stevie and Roland really aren't going to Johnny and being like, Johnny, I don't think this is such a great idea. And even when they do, he's like, what do you know? You know? So I think,
Which speaks to
yeah,
him being a D-bag at times. Like, this is not good, right?
no,
You can't
it's
just
pretty
ignore
bad.
Stevie. Stevie's the rational one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's
Mm.
pretty bad. Like, he really doesn't have as good of a season as I wanted him to. I will say, Stuart, I feel like the show is so smart for pairing Johnny and Stevie together. Because I do
So
think,
smart, yeah.
right? Like, them together, I think is kind of a missing piece of the puzzle that they like. Because I've always kind of felt like, not that I love the show, obviously, I love every single season of the show, but more so like, what is Johnny up to? You know, like he always felt like he was kind of floundering. Like, where does he belong? What is he up to? What is he doing? And I think pairing him with Stevie, who's also a little bit of a lost character at times, not a character from the show Lost, but like, you know, trying to find her way. I think makes a lot of sense. Like, they bounce off of each other very well. I think the comedy in the scenes with them together is really wonderful. And
Mhm.
they have some really like sentimental moments as well. So I think that it's one of the better things they've done with the character of Johnny is giving him Stevie and Roland to kind of bounce off of.
Yeah, completely. And Stevie's a fantastic replacement for the kids because it allows them to go off and do their other stuff and thrive in Schitt's Creek in whatever way they are, like whether it's the apothecary, whether it's the education. Like they're off doing their own thing, and it gives Johnny that parental comedy kind of role with Stevie, but it also adds in the dynamic of like, well, they're meant to be colleagues, and actually Stevie is more of the authority in the situation. Like it's a great dynamic between the two of like really kind of blurring the lines of like, well, who is the boss really? It's meant to be a
Mhm.
partnership, right? And so Johnny comes across as this kind of like a bit of a like buffoon like colleague, but then also a really lovely safe pair of arms to like fall into when you need support. And so I think that really kind of like serves it well. Throwing Roland into the mix is a chaotic choice that I live for
Mhm.
because I love a bit of chaos. But also, I kind of like Roland just pushing Johnny's buttons all the time and just annoying the shit out of him.
Mhm.
It's so funny every single time. Like when he turns up and he's like gaming in the office, it's like what? It's just so absurd. But I love this dynamic completely.
Yeah, so I do think it is a step in the right direction for Johnny.
Mhm.
I just think he's always going to be a little bit bumbling and a little bit like succeeding despite himself at times. Like, sometimes he has really great ideas and it's the execution that's lacking. And then sometimes he's just floundering when it comes to like the dead guy in room 4 of it all.
Mhm.
Um but overall I'd say like a net positive season for Johnny. Like, I do think he
Yeah.
has like good moments. I'm thinking like I love the pregnancy test episode where like he thinks it's Alexis and they're talking around each other. That's always really fun.
Oh, and
Um
he does all the like the calculations to see if they can afford it. Like this is the thing. Like I rag on Johnny a lot, and I call him a buffoon and say that he's like done all these things and he can't get it right and stuff. But he has a heart of gold, and I will never
mhm,
like for every criticism I give, know that there is a silent positive thing that I am thinking in my mind that I'm just not articulating because I'm a troll. He is adorably sweet when it comes to like ways in which he can support his family and the ways in which he wants
yes.
them to come together, especially like with the fact that like the Christmas episode for crying out loud, like he wants to bring everyone together. He wants that. He is the affectionate one. And like he is the caregiver in the relationship. Who would have thought with another half like Moira Rose that you would fall into the supportive role? But yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good egg.
Yeah, specifically, I'm thinking of episodes like the barbecue and the Jazza guy, where he is like, he's demonstrating that he's really trying for his family. Like the barbecue, the whole point was to have a barbecue for everyone to like get together and enjoy some like meats, even though he has no idea how to do any of it.
Yeah.
Like his heart is in the right place at all times, I think. Like the Jazz guy, the whole point in him joining the Jazz Gals was to spend time with Moira because he didn't want to go back to the old ways of like not seeing her as much. Like he
Mm-hmm.
took what she said to heart and he actively was trying to make changes to like rectify the situation. That's great. Like even though we're giving the highlights, we're the broad overview, we don't talk about like all the like messy nonsense that happens as a result. It's the thought that counts with Johnny. Like he really is
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah. If the season ended at the Jazza guy, we'd be like so riding high on Johnny, especially after like how far he'd come since the episode before, which was the barbecue, and how bad those burgers looked.
They look
Like
so bad.
exactly. So
So
he'd gone from
bad.
like the worst of the worst, and he jumped up on the high of the high, and then just slowly he kind of tumbled a little bit again
Yeah.
towards the end. Because I mean that's just the way it is.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Moira Rose, the matriarch of the family. Moira has, I think, a really great season when it comes to her relationship with her kids. It feels like we get a good deal of bonding with Alexis as well as like solid advice to David. I'm thinking specifically of like the date night where Alexis and Twyla go out,
Yeah.
and a girls night is the name of the episode, and Moira has like a really lovely heart to heart with Alexis about like meeting Johnny and kind of like
Hmm.
what it meant to her. And then with David, she's kind of the one who talks to him about Patrick and like he sees you. Like he sees you
Yeah.
and he loves you. And like we say this all the time, Stuart, but like we're not seeing this Moira 3 seasons ago. Like these
No,
are
not at
leaps
all.
and bounds ahead of where she used to be.
Yeah, she's come so far, and it's difficult because at the end of last season, she really only had downward to go because the gesture that she gave Alexis at the graduation was so adorable and so kind of like it was just so heartwarming. So I was like, like, how are we going to get her to build back up to have like a nice moment like that again? And what instead that they did is kind of just slowly have these like moments where she did something kind of like selfish and foolish, and then other moments where she was just incredibly sweet. And I think that's so great having these big swings of big grand gestures and big grand like mistakes, and instead show nuance to the character and to show that she is growing and she is becoming just more considerate, more emotionally kind of connected to the kids as well. I will forever just think of this season for the open mic night and mostly for Moira and her reaction to David being serenaded because it was just I don't know there was something so pure about it in how she was trying to just fend off Jocelyn and Roland. Like, I
Mhm.
don't care about your kid, go away. I'd just be like, because my little baby boy's getting serenaded by his butter voiced beau. It's like she was so proud, and it's weird to think of like
Mhm.
pride of just being the vessel of like or being the recipient, sorry, of something being sung to you. But it was more that like I think it was a combination of it just being an incredibly sweet moment that she appreciated for David. So it was kind of like that. But also I think maybe a moment of pride in the fact that David has grown so much to allow something like this to blossom and develop as well. And it's
Yeah.
because she sees that going on. And like she articulates it to David, like you said, is that like he sees you and she has to see them to realize that.
Mhm.
So yeah, Moira's had a
Yeah.
great one.
I think it's like presumably Moira wasn't super involved in any of David's prior relationships. Granted, I do think she probably knows a fair bit about what went on, and she knows
Mhm.
that he hasn't always made the best choices when it comes to relationships. And so I think what also impressed me was Moira is the one who's really pushing for the barbecue and to invite Patrick. Like she is the one who is like, we want to meet him. We want to like have dinner with him. And let's think back to like the flashback we get from Merry Christmas Johnny Rose where they're at the Christmas party and Johnny's like, where are the kids? And she's like, whose kids? Like two different people, right? Like one
Mhm.
person forgets she has children. The other one is like, oh, my son has a boyfriend. I want to meet him. I want to get to know him. It's important to me. Even though she's not saying it in exactly those terms, that's
Mhm.
what's happening. And
Yeah.
so this is like, in my opinion, just a massive step forward for Moira in like caring for people other than herself, you know, like, and wanting to be involved in her children's lives. Um, she gives out solid advice throughout the season. Of course, she has her typical Moira shenanigans in like the episode where in Moira Rose, where like there's a rumor that she's dead, right? Like there
Yeah.
are like very typical Moira shenanigans. She also helps Jocelyn not kind of sort of drive her to the hospital, but not really. She's just kind of there for moral support.
It was that, yeah.
Um, but she was there, and then of course in the Christmas special, I feel like she has a big hand in getting people to come to the motel to celebrate the holidays, you know, for Johnny. It
Mhm.
just feels like this episode, Moira was really much more kind and like involved in her family's lives than she ever has been before. And I think that's really tough for a character like Moira Stewart because not only is she used to being the center of attention and, you know, she's a little bombastic. So I think this is why I love the show and it's such a slow burn because it took 4 seasons for us to get here to where we feel like Moira has really actively changed. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen after 1 season. It took a long time and she still has obviously a lot of growth, you know, she could make, but I just love this season for Moira because there's so many like very touching moments that she has with both Alexis and David.
Yeah. And I love the fact that she is admitting to herself at least that she does love the town, like in the Jazza Guy where Johnny kind of
Mhm.
does intrude a little bit, not intentionally so, but just like comes into the rehearsals, charms the pants off of everyone in a very kind of delightful way. And she's like, no, this is something for me and I need this. That, the town councilship, her friendship with Jocelyn, the fact that like at the Christmas party, half the attendees were the Jazza gals. They wouldn't have had those turn up if it wasn't for
Mhm.
Moira, like, making that connection and, like, kind of embedding herself into this, and it's like, because she's grown to appreciate the company of people
Mhm.
within Schitt's Creek. She still is a menace, but you want her to be, like, that's her role, right?
Mhm. I love her.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk David. David Rose. Much of his storyline this season revolves around obviously him dating Patrick as well as Rose Apothecary kind of like popping off, right? They're
Mhm.
trying to get more business in. I think yeah, for me and probably most others, open mic night is like the biggest moment for David across the whole season. And I you know, I love David and Patrick. They're one of my favorite TV couples of all time. And I love that even when we get bumps in the road, like him having a fiance and not telling David and them going through like a few episodes of turmoil, I never felt, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Stuart, it never feels like they're on the verge of breaking up. You know,
No.
it's always like they'll get past this, they'll get through it. And in a drama, maybe you want something like that, but in this sort of a heartwarming, funny sitcom, I'm happy that we never had to worry about them actually breaking up.
Yeah. Even at the peak of, like, the finale of, the barbecue episode, when it all kicks off, the way in which Patrick went after David and the way in which he handled it, I was never in the mindset that like, oh gosh, this could go really badly. I was just like, this is something that's going to blow over, like because it's just the nature of their relationship and the fact that they are really getting. Well, I wouldn't say they're really good at it initially, but they're getting better, and I think better than most people approach kind of relationships at communication. Like it seems to be that like they articulate things really well in terms of like how they are feeling, what is aggrieving them, what they like about the other person as well. And what stifled that was a communication problem that Patrick hadn't communicated his entire history. And that's because David wasn't articulating his history to Patrick. And so once they overcame that, I was like, oh gosh, what else do they like? What is going to come up that is going to actually be a fork in the road for these
Mhm.
people? Probably nothing. And then the olive branch episode happens. You're like, oh, well, they're going to be together forever because there's nothing wrong whatsoever. Like, it was just so incredibly sweet, that whole moment. The fact that we got, well, I mean, the end of the barbecue episode, the one where they go to the hotel, him and Stevie, and
Mhm.
to get away from it and stuff like that. So we kind of milk it for that much. And then we get obviously the gift giving in the following episode that leads to the gesture and the olive branch. So it's not drawn out for a long period of time to
Right.
extend the drama either. It's like it's there. Well, I mean, it's there as a plot device, but it's there kind of like to just throw a bit of spice into the mix. But again, because of the kind of the short period of it all, it doesn't leave you with any kind of fear.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad of it because, yeah, like you said, I don't want that from this show in the slightest. I want a bit of drama, like I want some spice to be added, but I don't want it to be spice that's going to make me sad. Of which
Yeah.
them two breaking up, I think, will destroy me at this point. I have
Yeah.
so much faith in them.
Yeah, it feels like very naturally paced for this couple, especially considering, you know, this is David's first long-term relationship. This is the first time Patrick has dated a man. Like it's going to be a little slow moving for them,
Mhm,
you know? And so it never felt like, oh, this is moving too fast or too slow. It always felt like it was going at like a very natural pace for them. And so to
mhm.
end the season with them exchanging I love yous, it just felt perfect. It felt like the perfect pace for them as a couple. And I think having that coincide with David being a little bit more selfless than we've seen him be in the past. You know, he gets roped into it, but he does throw Jocelyn a baby sprinkle. And then he has this conversation with Ted, which is both like, integral in terms of Ted and Alexis getting back together, but also gives him the realization of, I have to say this to Patrick because I don't want to lose him. Like, he's there. He loves me. I love him too. I should say it. So it's just a really great season for David overall, and, like, obviously in large part due to Patrick and who he is as a character, and just, like, the show felt lovely without him. He is like a puzzle piece we did not know we were missing, and
Yeah.
once he's there, it's like, well, now we can't go back. Like, we need him. We can't go back.
Mhm.
So yeah, really, really great season for David. Anything else on David, Stuart, before we shift over to talking about Miss Alexis Rose?
I mean, it's remarkable that we can be so positive on David's season, considering how his hair looked in Asbestos Fest and with the act that came out in Merry Christmas, Johnny Rose, right?
Mhm.
Awful, awful hair. But again, it's testament to Dan Levy and the comedic abilities of like their acting is the fact that like he is so good at writing scenes that poke fun at David, and it's so great that he does that, and he doesn't like kind of build himself up to be like this too cool character. Like David
Mhm.
being adorably dorky in a way, like is
Yeah.
necessary for the role. Yeah, I just David's a delight. I
Mhm.
can't, again, I'm just being very gushy over all these characters this episode. It's a moment of reflection. We can do this, right?
Yeah, we're
But yeah,
allowed.
David had a great one. Even for one that's again not he's not pulling focus a lot in this season in terms of like growth or anything. Everything's kind of like slow moving with David in this situation. Whereas like Alexis obviously has had a big thing happen, Johnny as well, like, and even Moira to an extent, where they've had like a lot of things kind of happening. Whereas David's just been small little progressions, which I think is
Mhm.
certainly kind of really useful for him in his role, and built him up as being a great support act rather than just pulling focus and being the spotlight character because he's the writer.
Mhm.
And like it leads to David being able to have some really good supportive moments when he like gives Alexis the advice that's needed. When he gives Ted the advice that's needed.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. He's perfect. All right, let's talk about Alexis, who has quite a season. A lot happens with Alexis. She like
Mhm.
starts and finishes community college in a matter of months. She has a degree in pubic relations now. She starts her own business. She starts her own business. And it's not just that she starts her business and it's like, oh, then she's doing nothing with it. No, she immediately is like, okay, the motel is my first client, and she makes really wonderful changes at the motel that are
Mm-hmm.
like pretty necessary, like she's like, you don't even have a website, this isn't great. So she's actively doing a really great job at what she went to school for and what she's passionate about. She gets this huge opportunity in singles week. And I think, Stuart, most notably, she's doing all of this while like really struggling emotionally, right? Like she's in love with Ted. She doesn't know what to do about it. She tries dating, she tries doing the girls' night with Twyla, doesn't really pan out. She tries dating that other shitty vet that we hate, Miguel. That doesn't work out. And it's so impressive because, like, I think if you were to look at Alexis in season 1 when Stavros ditches her in Schitt's Creek, she's devastated and she's like, "How will I go on? I can't do anything." And she's just like lays up and does absolutely nothing. So the fact that
Mm-hmm.
Alexis is able to be so freaking productive and so passionate about her work and get so much done while still being utterly heartbroken about the Ted situation is really impressive. And I'm not saying that as like a good for her, she's heartbroken, but she gets stuff done. I'm saying it, this is not the Alexis that we saw in season 1. She would have laid up
Yeah.
in bed similar to like David with the lights all off, like just
Mm-hmm.
leave me to die. But
Yeah.
that's not her anymore.
No, she's completely, well, not completely different person, but she's a different person. Like she's had true emotional growth and she's matured. I love the fact that she's pursued the college thing, and has done it on her own back, on her own savings that she got from her own job that she worked hard at, thrived at, despite not it being quite for her. And she had the emotional maturity to recognize that and to kind of make conscious choices from it, which has led to her being able to do what she wants to do, which is be an
Mm-hmm.
effective marketer. And she has applied it to the town in such a way that it has really worked. Like the hotel rebrand was, and the rollout was just, the sign, I would just say, was just adorable. The fact that like combined the names in such a way that it kind of worked was funny, but also, yeah, it's quite sweet as well. But then you've also got like the fact that she's done the singles week. She approached it with a night, took on a week because of Moira like overselling it and taking over the idea. She pushes back against this stuff. Like she is like, she's not just being a pushover and just doing what she's told. She's pushing back and she's having an authoritative voice on things, and she's getting shit done,
Mm-hmm.
which is just so impressive considering, like you said, that she's going through a lot emotionally. And it's one thing to feel it and to like go through it, but to let it rule your life as it once would have is something that I think someone that is not as mature would experience, but she's matured, and that's why like she can get on with it almost. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so great to see her thrive because, again, like to talk about where we were and where we are now. Like Alexis was doing community service in season 1, like she was having
Yeah.
to
And David
pay
Butt.
back. Ignore them. Don't mention him. But like she was having to give back to her community because she had done something wrong. Whereas now she is doing services for the community because she's bringing business to it. Like she's bringing good ideas. It's just it's just so nice to see her thrive because I
Yeah.
kind of love it for her because she's worked so hard for it. I think that's the thing that I am really most pleased about this is that it's one thing to see someone thrive because like David's situation, and it's not to say that he hasn't worked hard, but like he came into the money a bit by fluke. Like the circumstances were all there
Y-
and everything fell into place very well. He did well to get it with Alexis's support, I will say. But she has had to really save over a long period of time. She's had to invest over a long period of time. She had to deal with a really shitty community college. She's got her degree, which is spelt wrong, and yet she has still then got business out of it and is still working really hard. I think that she has done the most amount of effort into herself, and it's paying off in droves.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like that the stuff with Ted, right? She confesses her feelings for him and nothing happens with it. And she's kind of like put that to rest. She's ready to
Mm-hmm.
kind of move on. And I like that it doesn't hinder her ability to do other things, right? Like she's still doing the singles week thing. Like, yeah, she's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit sad about the Ted stuff, but she in the end, like her and Ted get back together, and even if that didn't happen, it is still an extremely successful season for Alexis, and I like
Yeah.
that the majority of it, while in the back of her mind she's still in love with Ted and like all that stuff is still going on, it's not the majority of her story. Her story isn't only romance based, you know what I mean? A lot of it is
Mm-hmm.
her working on herself, and I really like that for a character like Alexis because she is independent. You know, let's not forget how many places she's traveled to alone, sometimes in
Yeah.
very dangerous situations, and she's gotten through it. So she's really a resilient person. I think it just took losing everything for her to kind of realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really quite a lovely journey for her this season. One that I really, really love. And also, this is like very much a side note, but she has some really incredible looks this season. I think her hair has never looked better this season.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the outfits are always a little bit questionable, but at least she's not in her like boho chic look anymore, you know?
Yeah. She's kind
So,
of slightly evolving. I mean, it's still a little bit in that kind of area. It's a little bit too
mhm.
glam. Schitt's Creek. She's kind of going a little business bitch. But
Exactly.
it's
Well,
paying
she
off.
read that BuzzFeed article about like 25 ways to be a boss bitch. So one of them is
Exactly.
dress for success, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. No, she's had an absolute belter of a season, and I'm just so happy for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Stuart, are you ready to rank our characters as we
I
usually
am
do?
indeed. Are you?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready now.
So
Yeah.
I have done a little graphy graph, or a little
Look
charty
at
chart,
that.
as we always do. And I've reorganized it this time. So I can do row by row rather than one by one. So we can go
Wow.
for our we can go from bottom to top in one in kind of like both at the same time. So
Incredible.
bottom starting at 13th because we've got
Mhm.
13 characters to play around with. I don't think there's too much disagreement here between the two of us. We've
Good.
both gone for Ray. Ray was
Suck it,
an absolute
Ray.
dirtbag this season.
Yeah, this isn't even close in my opinion. Like and it's not even recency bias with the tree, although that did play a big factor
Really
for
did
me.
play a lot into it.
Cause I'm like, what kind of a Grinch does surge pricing on Christmas trees? You're a monster, Ray.
Yeah.
You suck. Also, I can't remember if it's this season or last, and frankly, it doesn't matter. But he also is like very pushy on Stevie to sell the motel, which I think was last season. But I remembered it, Ray. I remembered it, and I still hold it against you. So yeah, screw you, Ray. Bottom of the
Yeah,
list.
yeah, he doesn't have too much of an appearance, but when he does, it's not great. Something that has more of an appearance, but is still fairly low for the pair of us is Mr. Roland Schitt, who comes to the 12th for the pair of us. I think this is entirely understandable. Um, for me, at least, Roland is low, despite the fact that he does bring a lot of funny moments. Mostly for the fact that like I wanted to rate him higher because I didn't think it was necessarily his fault with the whole like having his phone taken away from him situation.
Mm-hmm.
But the dude's had some good moments. Like he's incredibly supportive towards Jocelyn. Is such a kind of like a warrior. He's trying to like nest a lot of things and like get everything prepared and stuff. And he also helped with the barbecue, which really he doesn't have to do. But then he just keeps eating with his mouth full, and I keep hearing him chew, and it's just the worst.
It's so bad. It's so bad. He also like has some stupid family tradition of not finding out what gender the baby is, and then he like loses the
Hmm.
sheet of paper in the safe, and it's a whole thing. Like he's so bad this season. And like you said, like I enjoy having him involved in the trifecta of Stevie, Johnny, and Roland,
Hmm.
but then he's around more. And usually when he's around more, he's going to take me off more. Like, if I could take the Roland that is super kind and lovely to Jocelyn, that's what I'll take. But I don't need the
Yeah.
Roland that chews with his mouth open, you know?
Yeah.
I draw the
Yeah.
line somewhere.
Completely understandable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now in 11th, although I can reveal these both at the same time, I won't for this one because I feel like there's a lot of preparation. I've put, I think quite rightly, Bob. Because
Mhm.
Bob has been a non-entity this season. We've barely
Well,
seen Bob.
I do love the gossiping when with the baby, when he's on the
Mhm.
phone with Gwen and he's talking
Yeah.
about Johnny. Like, he's always on the phone with Gwen, and it's so funny to me every time.
It
The
is. It
Christmas
is.
world of it all, the when they're having the discussion, when the town council is having the discussion about, like, oh, should we do a singles week, or do we do this, do we do that? Like, I think he talks about the bench, right? Like, oh, I just love Bob. I can't help it. I can't help myself.
Yeah, which is why I'm really confused as to why I've put Bob in 11th and you've put Jocelyn. Jess, we're going to get complaints again, and it's
You know
going to
what?
be
I
your
don't care.
fault.
She forced David to throw her a baby shower. Okay.
Her sister let her down on the day of.
Then ask your husband to throw it. Problem is, you married
He's
Roland.
working. He's trying to provide.
Ask one of the Jazz gals to do it.
Okay, yeah, you got a
My
point
husband from the corner of the room just said, "There's so many of them. There's so many Jessica gals that could have thrown her a baby shower." And like,
Sprinkle.
I'm just sorry, sprinkle. There are certain times, and on top of that, Stuart, lest we forget, do we not remember when she attempted to interrupt Patrick's lovely singing by talking about her having a boy as if anyone cares?
She does so. This is the thing. Like, I will say that there's parental blinkers on. I think if you're having a baby, it's the most important thing in the fucking world, right? Like, there's nothing more important than your own baby.
Maybe the
Like,
first baby.
yeah, but
I
like
don't think
this
the
is a
second baby people care as much.
do-over. Like, she had Mutt before. Like, she
That's
has
true.
to
She
like
does get
treat
to
this
try
one
again.
differently, right?
Yeah.
This is a new start. This is a whole new baby.
I guess I just didn't care as much about the Jocelyn is pregnant storyline. And I found that it made her feel like a worse character.
Fair.
Yeah.
It's not been the strongest couple of seasons for Jocelyn.
That's
Like,
what I'm
with the
saying. It's not like I put her
election and the
below
pregnancy.
Roland or anything. Like, she's still above Roland. It's just like I still find Bob more charming. Like, I love him gossiping with Gwen. I can't help myself.
Unbelievable. So yeah, you do find Bob more charming as you've placed him in the 10th.
Yeah.
I've gone with Ronnie. Honestly,
Okay.
again, this is more about like how often they're on screen. It's not really a reflection on Ronnie being kind of like bad or anything, but just like Ronnie hasn't had too many moments this season. I would
Yeah.
like to see a bit more of Ronnie turning up.
I think the reason I have Ronnie higher than this is because I think, like, pound for pound, when she is around, when she does have her one-liners, they're really funny. Like,
Yeah.
in the Jazza guy, I loved Ronnie particularly. So, like, you know what I mean? There's just
Ronnie
certain moments.
like being really skeptical of Johnny and then them two becoming besties. Like, was it they
That's
were
what
both
I'm
getting
saying.
margaritas together? Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Anytime Ronnie is around, especially when anytime, like, when they're debating the singles week thing, Ronnie, anytime she's like rolling her eyes, it's cracking me up. She just has no time for any of these people. And I think I just have a softness for her. I just find her very, very funny. And I put her higher than Bob because I do think she has more moments than Bob does this season that make me laugh.
Interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, for my 9th, ooh, we disagree, but not dramatically so. So you've put in Twyla and I've put in Jocelyn. I feel like Jocelyn's around the kind of same areas. I still have ranked her higher than you have because I think that like she's still a sweetheart. She's not
Mhm.
combative with Moira this season. So I feel like we just have had positivity except for the sprinkle. I think that was the one real moment where Jocelyn let herself down. as well as maybe interrupting the open mic night. But again, I can kind of forgive her for that. Otherwise, she's an absolute darling. The pregnancy test thing, like she came over to like give Alexis her results and like, or to like talk her through stuff. Like, I feel like Justin is just such a good egg, which is why I have to like put her a little bit higher than everyone. Twyla conspicuously low, I'm just gonna say here, Jess.
Yeah. The thing is, yet again, I will say, like, she's always hovering in the background, right? Like, she's always there. But in terms of making a big impact, she doesn't generally make a big impact. I did love her in Girls' Night going out with Alexis. I found that she's so endearing and so funny. I love that for her.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed in Merry Christmas, Johnny Rose. You know, she gets him the meatloaf. She's there for him. She stays late for him. Like, there are some really lovely Twyla moments. I just don't think there are a ton of Twyla moments, which is why she falls so low, because there are so many other characters who get so much more to do that it's hard for me to justify putting her higher. I was really, with 8th and 9th, I find that I could kind of switch them back and forth. They're on the same tier for me. But yeah, Twyla just ultimately ended up here, but I still love her. I still think she's great.
Yeah, I feel like around like 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, I guess, if you're going to put Jocelyn down there, it's very much kind of like the people who are right in the middle, the kind of like the dependable kind of background characters, really, which is why I think Twyla for me comes in the 8th, and Ronnie for you comes in the 8th as well.
Yeah.
I think this kind of explains itself, right? Really? Of just the
Yeah, like I
positioning.
said, I could put Twyla at 8th and Ronnie at 9th, and that would feel okay for me as well. I think they're about on the same level. I think Ronnie just cracks me up just a little bit more, at least this season. So that's why I put her 8th instead of 9th. But yeah, they're about the same, I would say.
This is where it starts getting serious. Now we're talking about people that have real storylines. We've got the top 7 here. We're starting off with a disagreement immediately, as you've gone for Ted and I've gone for Johnny Rose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bit awkward.
So the reason I have Ted below Johnny, we don't see as much Ted this season. Partially because Alexis is no longer working at the vet's office, so we don't really have a need to go there all that often. He's dating Heather, which is fine. There's just not a ton of Ted. And I felt personally that I saw more growth out of Johnny as a character, obviously because we get more storylines with Johnny than we do Ted. But still, like, and I love Ted. There's just not a ton of Ted this season. Like, look back. What storylines does he actually have, you know?
Yeah, I think you've got a really good point. I mean, we're not too far off here. As for 6th, we just swapped it over. Like, you've gone for Johnny in 6th. You've gone for Johnny in 6th. I've gone for Ted in 6th. I put Ted there purely for the fact that, like, him and Johnny, I think, are around the same level for me, because Ted hasn't had a lot to do, but when he has been on screen, I've loved it. I kind of lived for the whole awkward like Heather luncheon when they went over to do the buying things for the apothecary. Yeah, like that. I felt like he handled that as well as he could have. And also he brings puns to the game. Like, I kind of, every time he makes a stupid joke like that, I kind of love it. Johnny has had a great season in terms of growth, but he's also had some really, really bad moments for me. And it's not enough to like put him down at the bottom of the list. Like, he's not a bad person. Like I've said before, he's like absolutely adorable and his heart is in the right place. But still, I'm not going to overlook that stuff, because he kind of also has done some bad stuff as well.
And this is why he's not anywhere higher than 6th. Because I do think we get some lovely Johnny content, but we also get some bad stuff from Johnny. So 6th is as high as I could reasonably put him.
And here's where we start agreeing, Jess.
Oh no!
This is some good moments. We're gonna have to we're gonna have to find something to argue about, because we both put Stevie in at 5th.
Yeah.
I think this for me is justified because I feel like Stevie has been a dependably like kind of good character in terms of like funny moments, good growth, hasn't done anything egregious to make me really angry with her. And she's just always there with a good snarky comment. Dependable, I think, which explains why she's above Ted and above Johnny here. How about you?
I totally agree with you. I think pairing Stevie with Johnny was such a great decision because it means we're guaranteed to get more Stevie on our screens. There were seasons where we were complaining, like, where is Stevie? What's she up to? She's always able to come in with a sarcastic comment or a one liner that I find very funny. I love the episode where Johnny gifts her the suitcase of makeup and she turns it around on him. I think it is so funny. Like, it's absolutely perfect. And again, like even her, not even with Johnny, like even her bouncing off of Moira in Rip Moira Rose, she's giving out solid, good advice, like very heartwarming moment that is kind of disguised as a comedic moment. So there is a lot to like about Stevie this season. I love when her and David go to the spa and they bond in those
Yeah.
moments, right? Like there are a lot of good Stevie moments that for me are better than some of the Johnny moments, but not as good as I think the top 4, in my opinion. They have exhibit the most growth and the
Mhm.
best moments of the season. So Stevie can't crack the top 4 for that reason, but like still a great character and a really good Stevie season.
Yeah. I also just want to like shout out again, like the fact that I've never identified more with a character than when she was very hangry at a barbecue. I was like, me every time. I'm like, just get this going.
Feed me.
We're not going to disagree again on fourth. In fourth place, got the Queen herself, Miss Moira Rose.
Mhm.
Again, I think we placed her fourth last time round, if I remember rightly. Moira's had a great season, but again, I don't think she necessarily eclipses those who are going to come in the top 3 in terms of like growth, great moments. She certainly has on her side of the kind of like her side of the argument of just having funny moments. Like she has some of the funniest moments of the entire like characters with her like vocab, her like absurdities and stuff like that. But still, I feel like to be ranked in the top 3, you need to have either a huge growth moment or something that makes me absolutely melt inside, which is why Moira just misses out on the top 3 for me.
Yeah, so I'm looking at our season 3 document. I had Moira in 5th place last season. So she's grown
You
a little bit.
monster.
I know. But here's the thing. It's so hard to crack the top 4 this season or crack the top 3 because all of them had massive moments. Moira
Mhm.
has an incredible season. Like, if not for the fact that these other remaining 3 characters in, Patrick, David, and Alexis all have also like better seasons or a better season than she does, she would have made the top 3. Like she really does. Like the Rip Moira Rose episode kills me. Absolutely kills me. But like I'm sorry, like her children are just doing better, this season
Mhm.
than she is. But it says a lot. It says a lot that we talked about how much we adored Moira's story arc this season. And so for her to be 4th still just goes to show how much these other 3 characters knocked it out of the park this season.
Mhm. Fortunately, third place, we disagree.
I figured we might.
So, yes, there's a little bit of a mix up here, but I think we're still in the right area, so it's not dramatically bad. But you've gone with David, and I've gone with Patrick. Jess,
I knew.
explain yourself.
Here's the thing, okay? In my opinion, we're matching up the simply the bests, I think. Like here's
Oh, fair
I
point.
think I think what I'm doing is David has an incredible season, okay? Like I'm not taking that away from him. He's incredible in so many ways through his relationship, his business, the advice that he's giving out to others. All of those things absolutely stellar, 10 out of 10. However, I do think Patrick has such like the simply the best Mike like moment is probably my favorite moment of the season. And so I had to put Patrick above David for that reason. But like, you could argue that David should be second. I am just
I
such
will.
a simp for Patrick that I can't put him anywhere but above David because of like, and it's not, I think it would have been different, Stuart, if like Patrick still felt like a secondary character, but he doesn't feel like a secondary character anymore. Like the whole
Right.
barbecue storyline, massive growth for Patrick. Like yes, we are so focused on David and the Rose family in general and their growth and how they're developing as characters because they started out in such a like different place. Whereas Patrick kind of comes in more fully formed, but I do just want to recognize that he also has like incredible moments of growth this season.
Yeah.
And the fact that he and David are able to like the fact that he goes to David and says, "I know this is going to ruin your day, but I love you." like he knows how to speak to David. And
Mhm.
I had to. I know it's very for me 2 and 3 I wouldn't flip them. I still strongly believe Patrick should be in second because of the simply the best moment. But you could argue that David deserves second place.
Yeah, I really kind of like the idea that like Patrick has now stepped forward as being like central character here. I feel like the
Mhm.
barbecue was almost like an invitation into this kind of like elite circle of
Yeah.
what were the main characters because it was like it was the core family and Stevie who have always been the kind of like top five for us, and so it was kind of like welcome, join our ranks of like
Mhm.
even though for me at least, Johnny's been kicked out of that into the seventh. And then bringing Ted in, a worthy replacement, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that Patrick has had a fantastic season. I'm not going to let it go that he didn't tell David that he had a fiance at one
Yeah.
point.
It's bad
And
news.
it's like, but I think both of them are to blame for it. I don't harbor any kind of ill will towards Patrick for it. Like, it's perfectly understandable. The pair of them have got over it. And like, I don't bear any judgment more than they do. But like, I just feel that the way in which David has stepped forward into becoming what seems to be an incredibly supportive character that is taking the spotlight that was like originally on David for a lot of the early seasons and is allowing other characters to shine, particularly Alexis, in like pushing her forward and supporting her a little bit while also still being a sibling that bickers with her and stuff like that is reason for me to put Patrick in third and David in two, which explains our rankings for number two, which
Mhm.
I think explains our choice for first, which we agree on, which is the Queen herself, Alexis
Yeah.
Rose.
We've often disagreed, Stuart, when we've gotten to this first and second place.
Yep.
Most seasons, I think you've had Alexis in top, and I've had David at the top. I think this is Alexis's season.
Hmm.
She does so much, and she does so much while being heartbroken. It's not all sunshine and daisies for her. She struggles a lot, but she's continuing to push and continues to like have this drive and this passion for what she wants to do for work. And on top of that, Stuart, something we didn't really mention that I want to mention here, she realizes that she doesn't want her old life anymore. She has the opportunity to move and leave with that really crappy friend Claire and
Oh
her
gosh, yeah.
and but she says no. She realizes I think I need to be here. I need to focus on my business that I just got these
Yeah.
super cute new business cards for. Like she has such an incredible season. I couldn't argue that anyone else deserved it more than Alexis does.
Yeah. I completely agree. And particularly being given an out and to choose and not to take it, considering that Alexis is the one that will take even just the smallest opportunity and make the most out of it, which shows exactly why she is where she is right now, is that she's taken every opportunity. She's taken the job from TED, she's taken the learning opportunity for high school, she's taken like the savings that she's taken from that to invest. Like she's taking all of these small opportunities and she's absolutely making the most of it. And when she's given an opportunity to leave, she makes a conscious choice not to, because I think she realizes also, like, she does love this place, I guess, and the people, and it's the draw of Ted. But I think she recognizes that she can grow most here, and it's best for her
Mhm.
as well. Alexis has had an absolutely brilliant season. I'm so glad of it.
Mhm.
And yeah, I hope that it's not downhill for Alexis from here. I hope that I can continue to keep ranking her as the top, because
Mhm.
she is without a doubt one of my favorite characters. I think like it's always going to change, I think, based on like the day of the week and what my opinion is of like who's my
Yeah.
favorite character. But Alexis is always in contention for it, because she's just she brings everything that makes this show great. I think she brings the absurdity of Moira. She brings the heartwarming moments that come from, like, say, the Patrick. She brings, again, like, kind of the growth element that David has. I think that Alexis displays the best qualities of every other character,
Mhm.
but kind of heightens them a little bit. And then
Yeah.
also you've got like Annie Murphy and just the incredible acting ability that she brings
She's
to it.
so funny.
Yeah. Take one of them good. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's our
those are our
rankings.
character rankings. I'm happy we agree. I figured we probably would, because I
Mhm.
was pretty certain you would have Alexis at the top. And I was like, I'll join you this time. I can't make any promises for future seasons, but this season, I don't think there's any denying it.
No. I'm
Yeah.
just baffled the fact that like David has been your number one for, I think, all of them, maybe
I
just the
think
last
every
two, but
season,
yeah,
yeah.
and bumped him down to third.
I
Wild.
can't
The
express to you how
power of
much I love
Patrick.
Patrick.
The
Just
power of a blue shirt.
the blue shirt, the singing. Stop it, Patrick. No, I love him. I can't help it. Um, okay, let's talk through the Simply the Best and the Disgruntled Pelican. Do you want to make any guesses? Who do you think is simply the best throughout the whole season?
I want to guess Alexis. Like, having a strong season as she has, I think it would make sense. I don't think she's had too many negative points, and I think
Yeah.
that's going to be to her benefit, right?
Yes, Alexis is indeed simply the best this season. She came away with 8 points. Not a single negative point for her this season. So,
Says it all. Says it
yeah,
all.
exactly. In second place, I think this is so cute that I have to say it, tied for second place are Patrick and David with 4.
Oh, they're
It's
sharing.
so freaking cute. So freaking cute. And then in terms of like who we think is the best, obviously, I think Alexis is the best this season. Like I think she
Alexis, yeah.
well deserved. As for a disgruntled pelican, Stuart, who do you think is the disgruntled pelican of the season?
So, I'm trying to think, because we did do an allowance for someone that didn't appear, and it's completely gone from my mind as to who that was.
Oh,
Oh, it
like
was for
Claire or Miguel?
Claire.
Claire
Yeah,
with a K.
Claire with a K. Could be Claire with a K, because that'll be exclusively negatives. But then there are people like Johnny and Roland who have had quite a lot of consistent negative votes
Mhm.
that might have added up. I'm gonna venture a guess to try and alleviate the wound if it's true. I'm gonna guess Johnny.
It's not Johnny.
Oh, thank God.
It is Roland.
Oh, thank
Roland
God.
got all negative points except for one time that I think it was you that gave him one positive point. Any other time he got points, they were negative. He ended up with negative 10 this season. Like, it wasn't
Wow.
even close. I like to pretend. No. Like, the next worst person was Ray with -3.
And that was
Johnny
just from one
actually,
episode, yeah.
yeah. Johnny ended up in the positive by 1 point. So he did end up
Oh,
ultimately
that's
in the
good.
positive, but he had a lot. It was very high and low for Johnny.
I
He was up,
imagine
he was
Johnny's
down. It
probably
was
the biggest swing in terms of, like, points
yeah.
in both categories, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So and then yeah, Miguel and Claire each got -2 points for their appearances because they sucked. So
yeah, we
Moira
really have
and
struggled, though, to find LVPs this season. I think, like, every
yeah,
time we found it difficult in some episodes, which
yeah,
is a good
good.
sign. Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Moira ends up with the flat 0 because she was kind of up and down so all season.
Mhm.
So I mean, again, I think highs and lows that fits Moira. She could be polarizing. Ultimately,
Yes.
I think I would say Ray is the lead because he sucks. He sucks.
Yeah, like his consistent bullying of Johnny. Like it's funny when I do it. It's not funny when Ray does it. Like
Yeah,
get out of here, Ray.
exactly. Okay, let's get into our season rankings. Previously, we were in agreement that the rankings were 3 2 1. That 3 was the strongest, then 2, then 1. I do have our old tier rankings for every episode of the season for
Oh
every
wow,
season we've done so far. So, if you're
delving through the
watching us on
history books here,
YouTube,
people.
yeah, if you're watching us on YouTube, check out the graphics we have here. So, to remind everyone, in season 1, we didn't have a single episode in Hot Shit.
Wow,
And we
tough crowd.
actively didn't like an episode in Little Sister. So that one was shit out of luck.
Oh
We have not
yeah.
had a shit out of luck episode since Little Sister. So obviously season 1 is the weakest season, I think, without question. Because once you
Mhm.
pop into season 2, we got Hot Shit, we got Full Bouquets, we got Love That Journey for Me. We were really high on season 2.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good season. That really was. Like to jump from like having an episode that was in shit out of luck in season 1 and then to have 3 in hot shit in season
Yeah.
2, that was like quite a jump up. And I think that was what many people were saying is that like you can start at 2, you can skip 1, but like obviously we're not going to do that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I this makes sense and it's
Yep.
very consistent. Yeah.
Season 3, I think, was a little more uneven in that we had 2 episodes that were Eo David in Murder Mystery and Sebastian Rain. Sebastian Rain.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then, but we did also have 3 in Hot Shit, which is impressive for season 3.
Interesting. I feel like maybe we were getting a bit too judgy because obviously, if I take like the murder mystery one and compare that to previous seasons, I'd probably rank that higher than most
Yeah.
of those episodes.
I think we were a little judgy. I do think we were a little
Yeah.
judgy. Because lest we
Wow.
forget, this is the season that Patrick comes into play. So,
Mm.
and then, of course, season 4, the season we just finished. Very obvious how much we liked it because almost everything is in Full Bouquet.
Yeah. This was a great season. Like
It
really,
really was.
really good season. What was the episode that we put lowest? It
Dead a guy in
was
room 4, which is the premiere.
which is strange considering it's a premiere, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes, but
It was a big
we've
swing
often
from what we
found
wanted it to be, right?
that the finales are incredible and the
Mhm.
premieres are just so. I think that's like
Yeah.
kind of how it's been with Schitt's Creek. So that being said, I feel very comfortable saying I'm continuing on with the trend and saying it goes 4, 3, 2, 1. I still I think season 4 is the strongest season we've seen.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, we get
Mhm.
consistent Patrick, we get good growth moments, we get Alexis having her season. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
4 was certainly better,
Yeah.
even
Um,
if it did have Mutt.
he was there so briefly, so we could just pretend he wasn't really.
Mhm.
Um, okay, let's talk about your predictions, Stuart, from last time. All right, this is going to be fun. So let's see what you predicted correctly at the end of season 3 to be talked about season 4.
Oh
You
lord.
thought that Bob and Johnny were going to have a rivalry and get into a fist fight.
Might have happened had Bob been there for most of the season. Like, I swear Bob was only in, like, 2 episodes at
There
most,
was a moment
and
where
there was
Johnny's like,
zero
"I'm thinking
jobs.
right here," because he calls him like a snake when he's on the phone
Yeah.
with Glenn. So like, not really a rivalry per se.
No, but if he'd been around
Friendship.
and that had happened more often than not, we might have had a fist fight.
Yeah. You would guess something pulls Moira away from town council. She's gonna do some acting.
Yeah,
What's she
Moira's
doing
been
acting?
consistent with the town council stuff. Like she's been
Yeah.
turning up, she's been doing stuff. Surprising that.
Mhm.
I still think that might be the case though. Like something like she's a star. She needs
Mhm.
to be seen by people. If
That's
not
true.
acting, maybe I don't know. Maybe she'll go into music or something.
Okay.
Jazz girls. They're already. Okay, wait, that's gonna come up.
You predicted Alexis goes to college and gets a college boyfriend, commuter. You wrote. She goes to college.
Commuter.
She doesn't
I hardly
hardly
know
know
her.
her. Yeah. She does go to college, but she graduates too quickly to get a college boyfriend. I think she just does
Yeah.
everything online.
She was approached. Like she was hit on when she went into the college for the one and only time.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
What is happening in your predictions? You predicted David loses a hand.
I think this is a violent swing from my season 2 wrap up predictions that were incredibly
What
boring
show
and
do you think
dull,
you're
and I
watching?
was being judged. Yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen.
David still has both of his hands.
Mhm.
You guess David and Patrick get married. Big leap. They did say I love you, but that's a very big leap from
You never know with like small towns. You never know.
Okay. Now we're back to the Johnny versus Bob of it all because we have Johnny trains to fight Bob all season.
I still like this idea. Like, I want to see a training montage with Johnny.
Yeah,
And
I want him to be like
an
Rocky,
opposite
like
one with
running up
Bob
the
as well.
stairs.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I still
You
have
had
high
guessed
hopes for that.
Stevie sells the motel.
Oh, thank God she didn't.
No, she
Thank
did not.
God she didn't.
Roland cheats on Jocelyn.
So dumb.
Imagine
It's
the
so
amount of
dumb.
disgruntled pelican points he would have gotten if he had.
Oh yeah. I think I'd stop watching. I think I'd just nope out.
Jocelyn cheats on
I'd be less out if that happened.
Yeah, I'd still watch. I get it. Maybe he chewed with his mouth open one too many times.
Yeah.
You also guessed Ray wins the lottery.
Glad that didn't happen. I mean, maybe he did
Seriously.
with surge pricing. Maybe he made enough that it was like a lottery win.
It's the worst.
Yeah,
Ronnie runs for governor.
could happen. Who knows if it hasn't? We've barely seen Ronnie. I feel like maybe she's got something going on. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Those were your predictions though, Stuart. And I none of these happened.
This is bad. Am I predicting to actually guess, or am I predicting to like absurd things?
I mean, I enjoyed David possibly losing a hand being on the board.
I mean, I must say, I was never looking out for it. So yeah, I don't think I was that invested in it.
But we're now at the point, Stuart, where I want to know what your predictions are for season 5. What do you think?
Okay. David loses. No, I'm joking. That'd be so dumb, right?
What if he does lose a hand this season and you
if he does, I'm gonna lose my mind. In fact, put it in just in case.
Okay, just in case.
Just to cover the base.
Okay.
So stupid. I'm gonna go with I think the Jazzagals are gonna record an album.
Okay. Like that.
That's what, and I think
That's fun.
that's what my thought process was earlier with that Moira is going to step away from town council and do something creative. I think that might be it.
Okay.
And I think she's going to go more into the music stuff. If not that, they're putting some performance or something like Jazzagal Fest or something. Maybe there could be something, or maybe like a festival in town, like Schitt Fest. I think that could work. Something to get like a lot of people in.
Okay, all right. Singles week went off without a hitch.
Well, they can have like the Jazzagals perform. They could have Patrick perform. Like, I'm sure like Ray will turn up with a keyboard or something. Like, maybe that can work out. I don't know. Think. Okay, so Ted and Alexis just got together. That's gonna just simmer, I think.
Okay.
See how that goes. David and Patrick, they're getting through things. They just said I love yous. They've got a business together. They're going to move in together, I think.
Okay.
Maybe a proposal. No. Would that be too quick? I don't know. This is the thing. How much time is going to pass?
Who knows?
I'm going to hedge on it. I'm going to say they move in together at the very least.
Okay.
Tentative engagement.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm going to put it in just in case.
Okay. Just in case it's in.
Yeah, just in case. I need a Johnny thing. It's got to be hotel based. I mean, what else does Johnny have going on for him? his financial advisor is his brother, wasn't it, or something? Like maybe they turn up, like someone from like the whole money laundering thing. Maybe
Oh,
there's
okay,
something with
okay.
that.
Someone from Johnny's past makes an appearance,
Yeah,
and then we'll do related to financials.
yeah. I think maybe there'll be
Okay,
some discrepancy. Maybe they'll find something. Maybe he'll get
okay,
audited or something. I don't know.
okay.
That'd be kind of wild. And then something absolutely bonkers. Let me think. Let's not go down the route of natural disasters. That would be sad. What could happen that would be really funny?
Tsunamis are so funny.
I don't know why. This is really bad. I was thinking like maybe like an STI breaks out in town or something.
Okay, I'm
just
putting
like
that down.
I just like the scandal of
Yeah.
like who's been spreading it kind of thing. Maybe not that. Maybe I don't know. There's got to be some sort of mystery involved, right? And what's going to be a
Okay.
mystery that encapsulates town that's going to be scandalous and salacious? Maybe they find something. I
Buried
don't
treasure.
know what it would be though. Treasure?
Maybe they find something. Why is it crazy that I said they find buried treasure when you said David loses a hand?
Okay, they find buried treasure. Put it
Okay.
in.
Great.
And
Wonderful.
lastly, Bob loses a hand.
Okay, great. All these predictions are now in the can. I can't wait to revisit them at the end of season 5. And before we get out of here, Stuart, I'm so excited. You've been waiting 2 weeks to watch an episode. I've been waiting 2 weeks to reveal the title of the episode you're going to watch because it's going to bum puzzle you, I think. Season 5, episode 1, The Crowaning.
Okay. There are a few things I've been spoiled on with Schitt's Creek. I think I may have seen this. Not this, like episode. Moira in like a bird outfit thing. I'm thinking it's that.
Okay.
I have no idea the context.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that film?
What film?
The one that she was gonna ages ago, like 2 seasons ago. The one that was
Oh,
gonna be filmed in like Eastern Europe.
yeah.
Okay, back to the predictions. Moira's gonna be in whatever that film was, The Crows Have Eyes or whatever it was.
It was The Crows Have Eyes.
Oh my god, yes. Okay, I'm kind of cheating now that I've seen the episode title.
You know, I'll give
I'm
you
adding
one.
that.
I'll give you
I'm adding
one.
that. Yeah.
But that's
Oh my
what we're
God,
going to be
if that's the
talking
case-
about.
Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
The Crowaning, season 5, episode 1. I honestly, this is not a spoiler at all. I think it's probably going to be our highest rated premiere.
Oh,
Because, well, maybe not. Finding David is really iconic. That's season 2, episode 1. But it's going to be a very highly rated premiere, I think, because like usually we're a bit like ho hum. But the fact that I recognize the title usually is like a good sign. But yeah, some really, really good episodes next season. I can't wait. There's one in particular. There's one moment that finally you will see next season that I'm really excited about because it's one of my favorite moments on the show. And I can't wait for you to get to it. So
How far do I have to wait? Like mid-season, end season?
mid-season. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
About mid-season.
That means weeks.
Yeah.
I hate this so much.
But do you understand all the? I mean, let me think. Let me add this to your hot chef Flippy. Yeah, okay. You understand Love That Journey for me. I'm trying to see if there's any other like things you don't understand yet. But I think you get most of the jokes now.
I think most of them, yeah.
Most of them, yeah. So there you go.
The walls are being torn down. I'm like seeing the world as it is. There's not too much, which is also a testament to how sad it is because we kind of really last 2 seasons. Jess.
We're over halfway through.
Well done. She gets it.
Maths. Yeah.
Maths.
So next week we'll be back with season 5, episode 1, The Crowaning. Stuart, anything else you want to plug? Anything else you want people to go check out in the meantime?
Just a reminder, if you want anything other than really happy vibes, you want something really kind of super sad, Jess and I are actively recapping and going through The Last of Us. We've just finished season 1, and we've got a couple of episodes where we're deep diving into the game, and then the second episode we're going to deep dive into the trailers before starting our coverage of season 2, which premieres on April 13th. We're going to have the podcast out almost straight away afterwards, or maybe the next day, who knows. It is very late for me over in the UK. But yeah, look for the Light Pod, check that out. It's a different vibe, but still a fun vibe, I like to think. So yeah.
Yes, totally agree. And one other plug I'll make is if you don't watch the show Yellow Jackets, go watch that show. Please.
Yes.
And listen, Grace Leader and I cover it on We Know Scripted TV over on RHAP. Go listen to the podcast, but watch the show. It is so good. It is so good. And it's unfortunately just wedged in a time of TV where there's so much on with Severance and White Lotus and all these other really big shows. I just need more people to be watching Yellow Jackets. This season is incredible and I need more people to watch it. So go watch Yellow Jackets. There's 3 seasons out. It's a great time. You'll enjoy it. I promise.
Such a great time.
Yeah.
It's one of the, I would say, hands down, is like my favorite show on TV at the moment. The Last of Us is starting up. That may change.
Fair.
But it's up there, yeah.
Yeah. So go check that out and come back next week to join us for season 5, episode 1, The Crowaning. Until then, everyone, warmest regards.
And best wishes.
Tweet us on Facebook or leave us a review and you say, yeah, okay, I think I will.